what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy. Breaking down what's next for the Tigers here. As I've been really enjoying, before signing day, as a way to cram and get ready, I ended up, and this is not paid for, this is just me saying this, I ended up doing the Bengal Tiger on 3, like, $1 sign-up deal or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying it. Shay and the boys do a hell of a job. So I'm just also saying that to correctly source where I am getting these current names from, and I think that's as good of a source as any at this time. And anybody who claims like no more or whatever, I don't know, whatever. All of this is who knows who is actually thought of as highly as what is else. Like I don't know that.
There'll be names thrown out there. There'll be some that have literally no chance. No opportunity. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about anybody. You're going to see a handful of names. There's going to be like 8 to 10 names. Some of it is wishful thinking. Some of it is because that's who is like next in line to get the big job. Some of it's going to be because they have a tie to LSU, either as a former player or they've been here before. There will be a lot of names, but I think recent staff changes at LSU, they've kind of been out of left field a little bit.
Yes, like I've now, between the head coaching search and this news where your college was told, no, there's not enough money. I think he said, you just can't know what to believe. And then when you're talking about hiring, the added fly in the ointment, Jake, are that any agents worth their salt are going to make sure that their clients' names are in the mix, because that becomes great leverage for them to then use against their current job, or maybe take the job, right? Like, it doesn't even have to be we're just trying to manipulate the situation. It's just good business to have your client seem wanted, and you can usually leverage that to get more. Again, I know a lot of people tell me that Mark Stoops was really going to A&M. I don't know. That still feels to me like it was maybe just like a be happy for Stoops because other people want him too. And so that's why the first name on this list feels almost maybe like something like that. And I got Jesse Minter from Michigan, which, again, I'm going by the on 3 teams list here. Obviously, this feels like a bit of a reach, because the question is kind of, why would he? And you can say, oh, well, Jim Harbaugh may leave. Okay. But I would still say, why would he, right? I think Sherrod Moore is probably, if Jim Harbaugh would leave, I think Sherrod Moore would be hired as head coach, the OC. And you say, oh, well, he'd leave for more money. Okay, well, there's a chance Michigan would be willing to offer that money. And there we arrive at like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's how I think it too. So I don't know. I mean, do you have any thoughts on Minter?
It's somebody that, has ties, obviously.
What are the ties?
Didn't he coach at Cincinnati with BK? I'm pretty sure he did.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was an assistant there. And so, that's one that, again, you're going to have ties. And so that's going to what job he's done in his current job. And then you go back and okay, what's that relationship like? But I think Michigan's tough because you just don't know with Harbaugh. There's a great unknown. I think Paul Feinbaum came on yesterday, and he's like, look, after Monday, he's gone, win or lose. It's like, man, you said that with your chest out. Is he really? Do we know for sure he's going to be gone? So, if he leaves, it changes. If he stays, it changes. We've been told that for
years now.
So.
But, but even if Harbaugh leaves, though, I still, why would Minter leave Michigan?
I guess it would depend on how they handled and who they brought in. You bring in a defensive-minded head coach, then maybe that changes the dynamics of what you're looking for.
That's fair. So Jesse Minter, obviously. Now, if you did get him, that'd be a home run. I'd be really excited about that. Of course, there's Blake Baker, right? Where Blake Baker's Mizzou group, very good, not most statistically overwhelming. You're not going to find top 10 in all these different categories. But I think without a doubt, if you look at games against Ohio State, UGA, just really all year long, you see a group that was elevated by that staff. Obviously, also, as we alluded to earlier, there's familiarity there. When he was linebacker coach here for a year, the turnaround job that he did on that group, and specifically Damone Clark, was one of the best that we have ever seen. Now, again, though, Blake Baker was already extended through 2025 earlier in the year and then just signed another extension last month, which I would imagine has a pretty little buyout attached to it. And
unless it wasn't signed like, Mike Denbrock's.
Yeah, true, maybe so. It did say agreed. I guess it didn't. Yeah. I don't know if it necessarily said signed, but I imagine that would probably be a pretty it would be expensive.
It would.
It would be expensive, and LSU's already spent a lot of money. But I mean, they're probably going to have to get.
I was about to say
a little expensive to try to hire a guy here.
I don't think you're going to get anything on the cheap here. And obviously, you laid out some of Blake's ties to LSU, being the fact that he was an assistant here not that long ago. He really enjoyed his time at LSU.
Wife played soccer here.
Wife played soccer here. He played at Tulane. Yep. He coached at Louisiana Tech for a long time. He's got strong ties in Louisiana. He would be able to go out and recruit from literally day one and wouldn't have to introduce himself to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. He's already been in the fire in Louisiana high school recruiting. I think if you look, you've ever heard me talk about Blake or seen me talk about him on Twitter, I think the world of him. I think he is a rising star. I think he's one of the best, young defensive coordinators in all of college football. And already having the ties to Louisiana, knowing the dynamics of the state, having ties to LSU, as he's been here, his wife's here, as you mentioned, T, that one would be plug and play.
Well, and although I love the momentum at Mizzou, allow me to enjoy a little bit of LSU elitism here. I do think that would be an upgrade of a move, right? Like I don't think you could say that that's a lateral move going from Mizzou DC to LSU DC. I think the things you can do at LSU and the talent that you can acquire, even though Mizzou's doing awesome, so don't take it that way. I do think it maybe not a huge upgrade, but it is an upgrade.
No, I mean, you look at the history of the two schools, and you know me, I'm as big of a fan of Eli Drinkwitz as anybody in the world. I love what they're doing there in Como, but no, it's not. I mean, it's okay. It's okay to say, like, LSU's resources and what they've done and the national championships and now the Heisman Trophy winners. No, it's okay to say LSU is a bigger program than Mizzou.
Emil says Blake Baker's one guy I trust to fully unlock Harold Perkins. Ooh, that's a little exciting to think about. Here's a name, Jake, that I think so this is funny because I didn't even know who this guy was. Somebody asked me about him on Snaps yesterday, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know about recruiting. So they were talking about taking a Miami recruit, but no, Miami defensive coordinator Lance Guidry. And when you start reading about him, it's like, huh, okay.
I mean, you know Lance Guidry.
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying. I did not. He's from Welsh, Louisiana, played and was head coach at McNeese. Well, he was the guy that got hired at Tulane and then immediately hired away by Miami last year. Yes, I do remember that story, but I had nothing attached to Lance Guidry. Where he gets kind of intriguing is his over a 2-year period at Marshall for 2022, and this is why he got hired at Tulane than Miami. Yeah. His defenses were incredible. Here were his national ranks over a 2-year period at Marshall. First in the country, and these are all national ranks. Again, first in the country in third down defense, second in stop rate, third in pass efficiency defense, third in defensive efficiency, third in yards per play, fifth in turnovers gained, fifth in rushing defense. That is dominant. And then Miami was pretty good as well this year defensively. Top 25 in the country in terms of yards per game. So a ton of Louisiana ties, very familiar. That guy that's a name watch ever. He is a bald white guy, which I don't know. Sometimes human beings' brain can be dumb enough where it's like, I don't. Do you want to go down that route again? I don't know.
Man, so now because he's follically challenged,
I look at it. I'm just saying. I don't know. I mean, look. Obviously, that's kind of a joke, but also it is interesting to see how your brain reacts when you see it. You're kind of like, we just did this dance. No, I kid. But no, Guidry's a very intriguing name to me.
Miami finished 45th in total defense.
Why do you think it was top 25
this year? Miami of Ohio was top 25.
No.
Miami of Ohio, I think, was actually like top 10. But yeah, you're right about, in his past, and you're not going to get graded off 1 year. And it's not like, 45th's not what you're looking for, but it's also not what you were this year. And so, like, how late did he get in there? He had accepted another job already. the Louisiana ties are very intriguing. The fact that he's from Louisiana, the fact that he's been a coach at Karen Crow and Leesville, and he's been at McNeese State, and knowing the area. He's been at Southeastern. Like, that's important to me. It's not, you don't have to have it. Certainly you don't have to have it.
Yeah.
But we are a very unique state, and high school recruiting is very unique. And, the LSU Polo will get you in, but, like, what do you do once it gets you in?
Yeah.
How are those relationships built? So I haven't heard otherwise. You would assume he's got great relationships within the state of Louisiana. And BK's told you, and this recruiting class that we just saw told you, they want to build through Louisiana.
NC State defensive coordinator Tony Gibson's another name on the list. I got to be honest, his resume at first glance, Jake, not the most exciting. He was DC for Dana Holgorsen at West Virginia for 5 years. He's been DC at NC State for 5 years. And he just signed a new 3-year, $4.5 million deal. Like, he's the highest paid DC in the ACC, which is a bit odd because, again, his resume is solid, but not like, I don't know. Again, I don't think it feels super overwhelming. But that's a name on the list. It doesn't do much for me.
Yeah, NC State's defense was good. Peyton Wilson was a lot of fun to watch at the linebacker position. He won a couple of national awards. But, of the ones that we've said so far, that would be at the bottom of the list. Not even really for who he is, just for the other guys. And I think the plus minus, and you're putting it in different columns, like the pluses over on the other side kind of outweigh some of the things that he's got going on.
Zach Arnett, I'm just going to simply say no thank you.
So T does a great job every day of putting together the document. And so, I love just coming and reading it sometimes in little notes. And it literally says, Zach Arnett, no thank you.
Yeah, everybody else has resumes and multiple stuff about them. I just know. And I kind of feel the same way about Bob Diaco.
Yeah, and
I know he's got a ton. He was Kelly's DC at every stop. But I don't know.
Right.
Feels like an also ran.
Yeah, on if you're going to elevate from within, like, I think a lot of people could get behind offensively because you were the best in the country.
Yes.
No matter how good of a job that Bob could potentially do, I think a lot of people, because it would be from within, would just not get on board with that. Like, almost like there's nothing he could do.
Yeah. It's not even fair to him. I think I'm kind of even representing that feeling.
Yeah.
And then about a minute here, Jake. Jim Leonard, obviously 10-year NFL vet, studied under Rand at Wisconsin, was awesome at Wisconsin, didn't get the head job, kind of chilled for an off season.
Well,
and then
he had hip surgery.
He had hip surgery.
So I know Jim. I played with Jim in Denver. Jim actually taught me most of the things I know about coverages. I used to sit down with Jim when we were together in Denver, and he would just talk defensive football. Probably the smartest defensive football player I ever played with in my career. Understood it from every single angle. He played in those Rex Ryan defenses in Baltimore and for the Jets, and really had an understanding of multiple defenses, 3-4 fronts, 4-3 fronts, like whatever it might be. So he did have hip surgery last year. I believe it was hip. And so wanted to coach, but couldn't give it everything that he wanted to give it.
Yeah.
And so that's why he was an analyst for Bielema, who was at Wisconsin. So they knew each other, not when he was playing, but they know each other through him being at Wisconsin for so long. Jim is somebody that I think, young guy. I think he's charismatic, like his.
He's got Riz.
Like, his demeanor, I think, would still play well, even though he's not from. What Riz? Like, do we define
charisma? I think.
I know. I want to say charisma, but like
game. You could say game if you say you've got no game or.
Okay, well, sure.
He's got game.
But I think he would actually, he would be able to figure it out down here. Like, there's sometimes we worry about that.
Riz
like, somebody that's not from this region of the country, and how would they, I know that's a big worry for a lot of people. I think
he's from the Dave Aranda school, and, Aranda worked out great down here, and it's a lot of similarities in terms of learning a new area and everything else.
Yeah, and again, just being in the defenses that he was in the NFL, and just because he kind of went away for a year, and a lot of people don't know that he was basically he couldn't give full-time coaching hours because he did go through a hip surgery, and he was the hottest name.
Yeah, don't see Illinois analysts and think Illinois analysts.
And by the way,
by choice.
And Illinois the year before had a number 3 defense in the country.
Yeah,
I believe, and so he wasn't going into this bad situation. So if Jim Leonard ended up being the name, and I know Jim's name's been thrown around here before. I would be all on board with that, just from my personal relationship, and not because I consider him a friend, but because I've talked with him and understand how he understands defense at one of the highest levels that I've ever seen. And so, you know, he's been a Broyles Award finalist, I believe, before, right?
Yeah, he has.
Okay, so.
No, he's proven on the college level the Wisconsin defenses were awesome, and the Packers want him as their DC.
I mean, he turned down the Packers defense coordinator job 2 years ago. So I mean, that's somebody that maybe the shine's not on him because he took a year off for personal things, really. And he wasn't off; he was still coaching. He just wasn't going to be a defensive coordinator because of it. Like Jim Leonhard is an absolute stud.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes!
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.